Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. We have Steve and Melissa Fultz with us today. Steve and Melissa, they're part of the Fultz Group. They do business coaching, 40 plus years experience, and best practices from corporate American entrepreneurial family business. It's going to be interesting. I normally don't do a three-way podcast, but in this case, it seems like a great duo, great dynamic. So, Steve and Melissa, welcome to the pod. Tell us a bit more about yourself and what are you both up to nowadays?
Thank you. We're glad to be here. Yeah, we're basically the Fultz Group was started maybe 10 years ago when she was still in corporate America, and I was in family business, and we both wrote a book that was related to what we were doing at the time, and became international bestsellers at the time. But over the years, I'll let her tell you, her retiring from corporate America. Having more time to come and spend in our family businesses, and then we created something new. So,
Yeah, with my background in corporate America, of course, his being an entrepreneur family business, we kind of say that we're the intersection of Wall Street and Main Street. So that's our uniqueness. It's been interesting to come out of so many years in large companies, publicly traded, Fortune 5, into the family business that I've seen Steve run for years and years, even when his father was here. So, but just bringing some corporate basic best practices that we did, just in structure, little things that I took for granted that it's been neat to implement into the family business. So.
Yeah, and you say it's unusual to do the three. We're finding because we're doing this together, we really are attracting married business owners. And our target really is to help older married business owners embrace technology instead of being afraid of it, instead of, afraid to try, afraid to implement. We are player coaches because we're using some of the stuff in our own companies to see what works, what doesn't work. We need to tweak this, tweak that. And it's been a fun experience learning from other married business owners that we're trying to help.
Interesting. Try to bring the mic closer, the AirPods again, because it goes on and off.
Yeah.
First question I have
Sorry
for
about
both of, yeah, no issues. The first question that I would have is, is working with your partner for most business owners, is that something that's recommended for most of us? And if so, if you're gonna do it, is there like a specific way to have boundaries as business owners vs like romantic partners?
Great question.
You ask a lot.
Yeah. And I do need to say we have business partners. We've got another family that's a husband and wife team. They've got a son in the business. We have a daughter in the business. So they're actually third generation. What we've found is it really depends on the couple. I will say we're in our second marriage. So we've had to learn how to work together to respect each other's strengths and weaknesses, or what I would call them is challenges, or we complement each other well, but it's not always a picnic. There are times, a family business in general has a lot of positives, but there are some challenges. When you're working with your spouse day to day, there are more challenges, but that just means the lines of communication have to be really open.
We do talk a lot too about carving out time just as a couple. We have times that we carve out that we call our one-on-one staff meetings, that we look at our week and kind of prioritize and see what, divide and conquer. And then just individually, making sure you have time for yourselves and each other.
Right. Boundaries, I guess. And making things clear. You mentioned communication, Steve. Like, is there such a thing as too much communication? What do you actually communicate, and what do you sometimes keep for yourself to avoid burdening your spouse even more, for example?
Right. There's a lot of layers to even that question, but what we have found is the transparency, the openness, there's some freedom in that. And I can use some examples she knows everything about our books. She knows, what we have in the bank. She knows what we owe in payables. She sees receivables. So there's our policy is open book with each other, just like our other. And I know there are some situations we work with some couples that's not the case, and that's always not healthy because it can put it can cause one of the people in the marriage to keep something from the other, mainly not for malice, but they may just want to protect them. We found what worked for us is it's helpful for her to know the stressful times just as much as the positive times.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. There are some details sometimes that just for the sake of efficiency and like time and just like not sharing like the full burden sometimes that I avoid sharing with my wife. It's pretty rare. I'm like full transparent, full open book myself, but sometimes it's like, yeah, she doesn't need to have like extra stress and there's like some specific situation because sometimes protecting a loved one can have the opposite effect, right? And it's just a bad habit necessarily to just like constantly hiding stuff,
Yes.
definitely not for that. You mentioned that both of you are at your second marriage. How does one handle that, like the failure of like building something that actually scale in the realm of love? And what lessons did you brought to that second marriage? Because I haven't got there yet. I don't think I'll ever get to
Yeah.
that point, hopefully. But
nobody wants to go there.
Nobody gets
yeah, but
married.
it's very common, right? 60% of us
Yeah.
nowadays have divorces. So like, how does one handle that?
Unfortunately, you're all right. We were very open with each other, even when we started dating, and we were thinking we may never get married again, you know, just because of the last situation. But it, I think it helped us in our relationship when she came into the business. She was in corporate America, large companies, Fortune 8, Fortune 15, healthcare systems all over the country, and here we were, a small mom and pop facility. It was a culture shock for her, and
And the
I think,
liberation.
yeah,
Yes, it
probably,
was.
yeah. There's definitely advantages and disadvantages with both, but I think we started out in our relationship with the transparency, and that carried into, so we didn't have to unlearn some things. I do know it's hard for some people to admit weakness or we're in a tight time, especially when things have been well for a while. They try to hide that to get through the tight time. Uh, I think we made it a priority early on that what you see is what you get.
What was your experience, Melissa, coming from a corporate background, like comfortable salary, right? And now thrown in like a Rambo off an helicopter?
Yes. So I think that I will write a book on this because the transition, I think it's the things that I didn't expect that I did take for granted in corporate, like an IT department. I've never had to set up a computer from scratch before because my IT department always did that. So, there are little things like that that I didn't think of, coming out of such a well-oiled machine. But what I've loved is how refreshing it is. And I don't know how much we're in growth mode. And so it's been neat to be able to take the things that I learned in corporate America, just some of the simple frameworks, and plug them in here. I have been on a board for maybe 5 or 6 years that was in a different industry. So it helped me then to understand how I can take my business knowledge and put it in different industries. So that's kind of when the consulting piece of it and the Fultz group started to come together, when we could see what we could bring together. Make sense?
What struggles are you seeing in your clients? What problems do they come to you nowadays, and why do you have this specific solution that most advisors wouldn't have?
Yeah, I think with the artificial intelligence hitting in November of 22 and the rapid pace of the way tools and things are coming out, our experience is a lot of our clients are deer in the headlights, just like overwhelmed, paralyzed. And our message is simply get in and play with it. We're not doing the simple copy paste. We're learning AI that helps from a systemic standpoint, that understands your business, your KPIs, your company literature, any of that. So we're training knowledge bases. And then we don't have a cookie cutter that everybody, we're not a hammer that everybody's a nail. We really try to listen to see what's your biggest problem right now. And our philosophy, and she's done very well with this, is AI is not here to replace people. It's here to free you up to focus on what matters most, which is customer experience. You got to always have leads. You've always got to have customers. You got to have fulfillment. But I think what we're finding is they're starting to try and see that this is not something that's going to tear up. It's not. I'm not going to do something wrong and it blows up. So,
And I think there's a misconception even about, automation and AI in small family businesses. They think, those are things for large corporations or startups. So I think helping them find entry points, low hanging fruit, where they can automate, again, and free people up from those mundane tasks.
Interesting. And how has your own business changed since AI happened? At what level are you integrating AI, and at what level are you actually worried about AI and just like take a step back and still use your human brain?
yeah, we are on the front end of this. In February, we started on a book we wrote called Family Business Facelift. And in that book, it's a parable of a married couple with college age and a little older children. They've got 2 locations in retail, but through that, it tells the story of different problems that business owners face and solutions that AI can solve those problems. We're implementing it in our own business, but very slowly. So it's not as quickly as we want, but we're still on the front end. We're not experts by any means. We're learning to see, this was a waste of time. This was incorrect, what it put out. So we're really in the process of rehashing to see really what matters. And what we're finding is, as the tools, and even this week, they come out with connecting to more of your emails, your drives, your cloud space, whatever. It's phenomenal what all it can know about your company and suggestions that it makes. It's literally a consultant that's priceless. So we're still on the front end of seeing what solutions to our specific problems. So I would say to date, we maybe implemented 25 to 30% of what we want. I'm hoping we'll get up to that 70%, but we're doing it correctly, not just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what will stick.
Yeah, and our brick and mortar businesses are in the fuel, oil and gas industry, very service related. So it's an antiquated industry anyway. In our consulting business, we're using it every day. Again, for small things or bigger things.
Are you worried on the effect that AI would have? Like if it accesses all your data and it's smarter, it moves way quicker than all of us. Are you worried about the effect it could have on the economy in the next years and decades?
I'm going to let her answer.
We tend not to be worriers. I do tend to look at things, whatever it is in life, where I do have maybe a little bit of fear or of unknown. And I've always been curious. I think Steve's this way too. I want to conquer that fear. So that's why I think we wanted to be thought leaders and out in front of AI just to understand it. We really enjoyed learning how to use it. Are we worried? If it gets in the wrong hands, yes. But
I don't see it going away. So
it's here.
But she had a really good point. Even a year or two ago, at what point are we going to be able to determine the source of truth? Because we are people of integrity, and we believe in God. Some of that stuff. So this whole Big Brother, all knowing, it's just so unknown. We don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to go away.
And their jobs will be impacted. I know with our industry, we really trying to focus on not cutting headcount, but implementing things again to take away just the smaller tasks and then freeing them up to do the things that they're really good at. I do think other industries are going to see a lot of headcount impacted by AI, which then will impact the economy. So I think getting out in front of it and learning it is your best bet.
A lot of people are saying that AI is actually gone. It's all knowing. It provides answers to the future. It has access to a bunch of things. Is it a God replacer?
I have actually said this, not a God replacer, but I have a big philosophy, and I hope everybody can hear this and understand me. I feel like every keystroke that we've ever made is our digital DNA. It's already out there. AI is going to have it. And so many things that we do on our computers and online personally that nobody else knows, only you and God know, well, now it's you, God, and AI. So I think it's learning us, it's learning our habits, it's learning our inmost thoughts. So it won't replace God. I am a believer that He's sovereign over all of it. But it's be careful what you put on your keyboard. It's learning you.
But what I would add to that, in reading a bunch of the people who are on the forefront of the AI, literally they don't know. You can hear some people say it's terrifying. You can hear people say it's scary. You can hear people say, I think there's even a bet to see what the first $1 billion one person solo business in revenue. And there's 4 or 5 people that are getting close to that just by using AI agent. I am a person, though, of believe in abundance and opportunity. I'm not a scarcity mindset. I think it will bring on new ways to improve the economy. I don't know what that looks like yet, but instead of a doomsday person, I'm more of I think I look at it as, let's see what opportunities, what new doors this technology is going to open. And you mentioned something, and I read an article. I need to give somebody credit, but I read so many, I don't know who said it. But even the term artificial intelligence is actually misleading. There's nothing artificial about it. It's intelligence. But it's more of an aggregator or accumulator. Now they're getting into the agents and the reasoning and all that stuff. I think that will change. The aggregator, they're actually learning how systems work, how people think, how corporations operate, and they're going to be able to continue that prediction from a machine instead of some human leadership. So yeah. I think even though it's scary, I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's an extension of our intelligence ultimately. And yeah, if we're afraid of it, I think we're afraid of us, right? Like, I'm more afraid of still like evil people and terrorists than I am afraid of AGI. I don't think AGI necessarily will be evil and will eliminate all of us, but the $1 billion one-person company is certainly an interesting concept. Certainly with the Sam Altman leak, that's what we're hearing nowadays. And there's been like a couple of people pre-AI that have been close to that. For example, FTX with Sam Bankman-Fried.
Oh yeah,
he was very, very lean, and he was definitely multi-billion-dollar company. But I think what this brought to my mind was, okay, if it's one person, then they're not employing anyone, right? So who are they paying ultimately? Other software companies. And in that same line of thought, the future is I have the choice on hiring an AI agent or a human. And the human, won't be able to compete with the AI agent in most instances. And if they do, they will charge probably 100 to 1,000x more. right? So with these two lines of thoughts, I can't help but thinking that the future of the workspace, most of us will either be unemployed or self-employed. And
Right.
I'm way more bullish on the self-employed scenario, right? Because if there's a bunch of unemployed people, there will be UBI. We'll have to pay for these folks. There will be wars. There will be revolts. So, what is your outlook on that? Do you feel that most humans would actually become entrepreneurs? Is entrepreneurship an innate thing? Is it something you're born with, or that is built?
That's funny. We have this discussion a lot because I am not from an entrepreneur family. And he, of course, is. So I'll let him answer first.
Yeah. Well, my dad, I was born into the entrepreneur. I tell people I was born in a family business. My father he's still alive, thankfully, and I'm very close to he and my mom. But he had a vision that was uncanny. He could see through things. He could connect dots. He's just a serial entrepreneur and has done well. I grew up with that, and I have that want to. I do think if the day comes when it comes down to where people got to survive, they're going to have to find some kind of something to do. What we've been reading is the people who learn to be instead of a solo player, like doing one function in an orchestra, playing a horn or a woodwind or strings, that they're encouraging people to take a step above and be more of the conductor of learning how
Generalist.
to work with these AI agents, the bots, et cetera. I don't know how many people are going to be willing to do that, but I don't know that they've ever been put in the position where they have to do that. I think that's going to separate the people who do and the people who don't. Will be the people who survive and continue to grow and the people who don't. So we're big proponents, though, of family business, starting your own thing. I think a lot of people now are starting to look to say, how have I been equipped? What are my talents, expertise? How can I monetize this? People don't understand. If they know a little bit more, one step, I read a long time ago, if you're 2 steps ahead of your followers, you're leading. If you're 10 steps ahead, you're a martyr. You're useless. So, I think it's going to be really interesting, especially in the next 5 years.
I love that analogy.
Isn't that good? I love it. Even this week, we had this conversation because it's been over 2 years. I don't even know how long it's been now that I've been out of the corporate world. Again, talking about the transition was tough. But just this week, I reframed. Even in corporations, I was always a maverick. I was always challenging the status quo. So I was almost an entrepreneur within my own organization. I always created new ways. I saw the need, I saw the gaps, and would create. So it's been a great reframe. We've talked through it, and that was even a breakthrough this week that I've had.
Right. Last question I had for both of you, to wrap up this convo, is how have you decided to educate your children, knowing that both of you are somewhat entrepreneurial go-getters? Like, what's the right way, in your opinion, to raise a productive and useful children in this conflicting society nowadays?
Very timely question, because we had this discussion yesterday. We have I have 2 girls. She has 3 boys. My oldest is in the family business, so she's 3rd generation. My second had started a boutique retail store in college, and I think she just sold it after 7 years. So she's got 2 small children, and it's time in her life she needs to do that. Our boys are all pursuing their career, but we're very active in talking to them about AI. We're going through some stuff that's more systemic, showing, here's the talent, here's my experience, and we're letting AI massage all that to make suggestions about their next moves. And they're all engaged and really looking forward to, excited about the way this is going to play out.
No,
I talked a little much on that. Yeah. But it's something that I tell you, I talk to everybody with their children growing up. who knows what these next 3 to 5 years, and there's so much free content online teaching people how to do this stuff. You could get an MBA for free.
Yeah, lots of noise out there as well, right? Like not all content is good. So you sort of need to be skeptical and to filter pieces of information, which doesn't come natural to most. I see a lot of boomers like believing pretty much everything they see on the news, right? I
Right,
think
right.
nowadays people are being more careful about that. But yeah, you need to be selective. Just to double click on that question, how did you, if we agree that, yeah, the future is entrepreneurial, right? Like, how do you actually teach entrepreneurship to a kid?
I,
That'd be your
Yeah,
that's up your alley.
I will just tell you, it's all about options. I think we are trained, and I used to play a psychologist on TV, but I would do therapy as a psychologist.
PhD in psychology.
Yeah.
Being very helpful.
I would have a patient or a client just say, go stand in the corner, put your nose in the corner. And they go do it, look at me like I'm crazy. They would go do it, and I'd say, okay, take 3 steps. And they're like lifting their legs, trying to go straight. I didn't give any other instructions. A few people would back up 3 ways or go sideways. There's a lot of options. I think the whole key about the entrepreneur, and I think that gets a bad rap a lot, I think it's just people that keep their options open. They're always curious. They're looking for, could I do this better? Is there a better way to implement? Is there a better way to execute? Can I do this more efficiently, effectively? I don't think it's some mysterious, oh, you become, one day you'll be an entrepreneur. I think it just starts with asking a bunch of questions. It's probably oversimplification, but
Well, like I even had kind of that breakthrough and reframe this week with myself. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years inside organizations. It's a mindset. Again, curious and asking questions.
and always realizing you always have options. You don't think, but when you look at it, there's options.
Yeah, abundance, right? Can open-mindedness be taught? That's a big problem in society, and I feel a lot of people limit themselves automatically. They react with their primal instincts to something
Yeah.
instead of keeping it in their mind and analyzing.
Yeah.
How can open-mindedness be taught?
It's a deep question. I think it's modeled early on. And so the older the child gets, the more closed he or she might become based on what was modeled to them. But I do think there is ways to reprogram that and constantly reinforcing the fact that, well, I know you think about that this way. Are there any other ways that somebody else might look at it? Another analogy I used to do, I guess I could hold this up, but if I held this mic up and I just showed you this and you described it, you're seeing one part of this dimension. But then if I turned it this way, it may be a total different object. This way, upside down, I could do it this way. So it's just looking at things differently. I use analogy with your lens. I tell people, look out the window, tell me what you see. 100% of the time, nobody says the window pane. Yet everything I see outside of that goes through that window pane. So it really
Or your
comes to
nose?
training your perception to think there could be other ways to solve this issue than the way I think about it.
All right, that's good. Love the analogies here. Where can people find out more about both of you and your business?
LinkedIn is probably the best bet. We're the Fultz Group there.
Yep.
We have YouTube channel that's the Fultz Group. Instagram is the Fultz Group. I'm trying to think of what. Oh, Facebook is maybe Biz Growth Matters.
Yeah, we're in the process of the Fultz Group site. So again, we're riding down the road at 50 miles an hour trying to change the tire. We're building this as we go. We don't have it all together by any means.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's great. Like we're all like that. And people that don't claim that they are building a plane while falling a cliff delusional. So thanks
That's true.
for being on. That was
Yeah.
Steve and Melissa Fultz and Charles Cormier
Yeah.
for another CEO Wisdom podcast.